Okay. I was literally just doing a stream here, just doing my regular stream, first stream after that we found out that we have the news that Trump and the First Lady have both tested positive for coronavirus. You know, and I felt really bad and horrible when that first came out, and was concerned about Trump and the First Lady. I was concerned about the country. You know, hope they did well, hope they recovered well, et cetera, et cetera. Said we should pray for them, et cetera, et cetera. And I come on here and I start streaming, and somebody comes into my chat and says, "Oh my word, did you see what Hasan did? You need to make a video about this. This is unbelievably horrible." And so what I did is I was like, okay, send me the link. Somebody sent me the link, and this is what they showed me.
Donald J. Trump. I mean, wow. This is a devastating. And I your thoughts for people that have clock test.
And I was stunned because he was actually dancing and celebrating and promoting the fact that Trump has coronavirus. And I was like, oh my gosh, isn't that like opposed to the community guidelines? Isn't that something that you're not supposed to do on Twitch? Like, I would be banned, I assume, if I did that. And that's why I would never do that. And it's also, I'm not the type of person to actually do that and dance and celebrate when somebody has a serious medical condition. That's absolutely horrible. This is like whenever Ruth Bader Ginsburg went to the hospital, and she went to the hospital a lot and was diagnosed with cancer a lot. You never saw this kind of stuff from the right, and nobody would ever. And this applies to the left in general that we're seeing on Twitch with people actually hoping he dies and saying, I hope Trump dies, and celebrating and laughing that people are that Trump has coronavirus. And so you go into the community guidelines, and it says hateful conduct and harassment. This is considered any content or activity that promotes, encourages, or facilitates denigration based on all these different things, including a serious medical condition, is prohibited. Any hateful conduct is considered zero tolerance violation. So that's literally promoting, encouraging, facilitating denigration, objectification, harassment based on serious medical condition. Certainly that's denigration based on a serious medical condition. And I just think that's absolutely horrible, and probably I would not be surprised whatsoever for people to be banned, for a conservative to be banned on Twitch for doing something like that. And so, but I just think it's really horrible to celebrate somebody having a serious medical condition like that and hoping they die. You know, it's like I don't think for a second that Hasan doesn't hope Trump dies and thinks to himself that it's morally justified that to hope Trump dies. And he's even got some reasons, some that Hasan has, and it's just like in the left, they also morally justify this kind of stuff to themselves, and it's just horrible. And it's the opposite of true sort of morality or understanding of God. So for example, I like Galatians 5:22, where it talks about the fruit of the Spirit, and it says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Those are the types of the things that are good things and are the fruit of the Spirit. And if you're going to be on the side of good or evil, this is the side of good. And what Jesus said was that you've heard it, that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be the sons of your Father in heaven. And so it's pretty clear when you just look at a couple of different Bible verses, and that this is not a good thing to do. This is not a good thing to laugh and celebrate and dance and do all this stuff when somebody gets coronavirus. That's a terrible thing to do. So then somebody says in chat, who's a big Hasan fan, Hasan has 3 responses to that. 1, Trump showed no respect for Hillary when she had pneumonia. 2, Trump downplaying how deadly COVID is partially responsible for 200,000 Americans dying. 3, you're not required to show empathy to someone that shows none to you. And it's like, okay, hold on. 1, Trump showed no respect to Hillary when she had pneumonia. Well, pneumonia doesn't have a 3% chance of dying. And actually, I think that's probably wrong that Trump showed no respect to Hillary. I'm sure if you go back, Trump would have never have actually celebrated or been excited about her getting pneumonia or hoping that she died or anything like that. But more importantly, like, that's a horrible standard of morality to say, oh, just because somebody that I don't like didn't do a nice, good, positive thing, I don't have to do a nice, good, positive thing. That's a messed up way of looking at the world. That's wrong. That's horrible. Like, have some actual standards and, principles that you stand by. Number 2, Trump downplaying how deadly corona is partially responsible for 200,000 Americans dying. That's wrong as a matter of epidemiology. That's wrong as an epidemiological matter. Trump getting the virus, which is Trump is the most protected person in the world. He's got the full might and power of the CDC and DHHS and all of these the top doctors and scientists in the world protecting him and making sure he can't get the virus when he got the virus. And if we can't prevent the virus from spreading to him, what makes people think that we can prevent the virus from spreading around in community and having community spread? And people don't remember that when you flatten the curve, you actually aren't reducing the total number of cases. All you're doing is spreading it out over a longer period of time so your hospitals can not get overwhelmed and ramp up production of certain different things and prepare for it. The hospitals were never in danger of being overwhelmed. The hospitals were never overwhelmed. We had excess hospital beds. Trump sent a hospital ship to New York. We built a hospital in the Javits Center. We never ran out of hospitals. We never ran out of hospital beds. So it was a success medically in terms of what Trump did to respond to coronavirus. So Trump's not responsible for downplaying how badly corona is. Like, people, it's up to the American people to be responsible. It's up to the American people to listen to the CDC guidelines and wash their hands and do social distancing. If anything, again, we should have been downplaying it more because we know for a fact that the government lockdowns and the government orders and the economic destruction are way more damaging and are killing way more people than coronavirus. The UN put out reports that millions of children could die from starvation because of the economic consequences of these government lockdowns. Neither here nor there. It just points out that Hasan's justification for celebrating Donald Trump or Trump getting coronavirus it's not a good reason. His 3rd, you're not required to show empathy to someone who shows none to you. First of all, Trump does show empathy to Hasan. Trump shows empathy to all Americans, everybody in the United States. He's trying to do what's best for everybody. He's trying to help everybody. And so Trump does show empathy to him. More importantly, even if Trump didn't show empathy to you, again, that's a horrible moral standard to use. You're basically saying that your morals and what you're morally required to do is determined by what your enemy does. Instead of having an actual independent, important moral stand yourself that you're really going to stick to, you're just saying, well, if my enemy doesn't do this, then I can do it. So if your enemy goes and rapes and pillage, does that mean that you can go and rape and pillage? Like, that's a horrible standard to use. Rather, what you should do is pray for your enemy, etc., etc. Don't curse your enemy. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. And those who are Christ have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, envying one another. So I'll pray for Hasan. I'll pray for Hasan. I hope he finds Jesus Christ and understands some of these principles about love and joy and peace and kindness and goodness, not being conceited, not trying to provoke one another, don't envy one another. I just, and I'll do that, and I'm going to do that here on the Twitch stream, but that's where I'm going to end the video.